So it's May 28th right now, 2024, and I still can't make any date sets about when this is going to start because I still don't know when people are going to talk to me. But I realise that my mental state is now no longer in the position where I want to talk to people, so I know that it's very unlikely to start this year. I saw the eclipse this year that went over like 7 Ninevehs and another name and an 8th name that links to a Noah name. And while stupid Christians have been bugging me like hell over the saying, there'll be signs in the sun, moon and sky, saying how God is drawing out all these shadows on the planet for a reason. God has put all the stars in the sky for a reason. You know, it's almost like they're so stupid that they think God is just going bing, 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 and literally drawing on the sky or something. You know, it's ridiculous. The Matrix made the universe and these stars are just randomly placed. There's no order, so I don't actually believe in the star signs and all the ridiculous shapes that they have, and shapes that don't look anything like the shape that they're supposed to represent. You know, I don't actually believe in any of that nonsense. I do though believe in the human mind, and I do know that God knows the beginning from the end, hence knows where all these shadows are going to be placed. And you know, if she's got humans to make towns and name them certain things, you know, this is something she can do. So I feel like this eclipse with the Nineveh signs, you know, I think it does point to something. And well, this Nineveh story is about a 40-day warning. I feel, although I'm not the Jacob figure, you know, I feel like I have been warning people for the last 11 years that Christ is a female. No one gives a shit. No one who watches my videos cares or believes. They tell me to go to Jesus, and then other people say, see, look, other people are telling you to go to Jesus, so therefore they must be right, which is just nonsense, absolutely crazy. You know, the world is full of religious people, so of course they would say things like this. Why? Because they've been brainwashed to say it. That doesn't mean that it's the truth. But yeah, I'm just hugely angry with everything. Looking back over the last 11 years, I just have no clue why you started changing all the dates of the songs that you were writing about me. I thought you were doing that because you were about to expose me and you were about to say how, you know, I discovered who I was in 2013, but look, all these songs were making prophecies before you found out who I was. And well, to think that 11 years later I still haven't been exposed, and now it just makes no sense why you changed the dates, because it's been so long that it doesn't matter when these songs were actually written, because I've been ignored for such a long time. And there's now so many songs about me that it doesn't really matter when these songs were done, because it's been a whole 11 years that I've known, and what people have been doing about me behind my back means absolutely nothing now, because you've had plenty of time to set something up. So people aren't going to think, oh, is this the truth? Is this not the truth? It's been 11 years. You've known about me for 11 years, so they're just going to think whatever they want. They'll likely think that every single song that was written about me was actually only written after 2013. That's all they're going to believe. In fact, you're probably not even going to tell them that you did know about me. You're probably going to say that you're only finding out about me now for the first time this year, and they're just going to believe whatever they want. And so now the only reason why I believe you changed the dates of the songs in 2013, 14, 15, which I just feel like you did that only to hurt me. I have no clue what you were doing, why you've taken so long to talk to me. You know, I'm really completely, utterly disappointed. And not just that, I now just see humans as rats that I want to get rid of. Because of this, I'm in no position to do anything. I don't trust anyone, and I know the importance of being able to trust people to do anything. To get out of bed, I need to know that I trust the people that I'm getting out of bed for, and right now I can't do that or say that. So I'm just making this video to try and think of other possibilities. You know, I know that AJ Miller is the real Jesus, just a normal man who thought that he was the Son of God, who was preaching and perhaps doing magic tricks, who died, who didn't rise again, but he has risen again now and is alive right now. And so I'm wondering if he should be like a sort of temporary Christ.
He is an ordinary Australian making an extraordinary claim. AJ Miller says he's Jesus Christ. We first found him spruiking his message in Australia, but now this self-proclaimed Son of God has taken his mission to the world. Denham Hitchcock caught up with AJ deep in the heart of Texas.
I'm running the truth.
Do you think he's the Son of God?
Yeah. My name's Alan John Miller, but I'm actually Jesus. My first memories were having nails driven through my feet, and those memories began when I was just over 2 years of age. So I didn't put them together as, oh, I'm Jesus from that. And so I just sort of slotted it into the back of my head and went merrily on with my life until such a time as I started having a lot more specific memories about my life. which happened when I was 33, really.
You know, people in the world don't want me, they don't want the real truth, they don't want God, they don't want the real Christ. They wanted AJ Miller, they wanted Jesus, and you know, I would love the idea of being exposed so that I can make a fool out of anyone who denies me. But I don't think it's very funny when you know that everyone in the world would deny you, even the people that you're working with, even the people that you're going to help in the future, because there's not going to be as many people here in the future, so there won't be as many people destroying the planet. But yeah, when you know everyone, including the people that you're supposed to be helping, would mock you in the same way that others are, you know, I just feel like I'm not going to take any satisfaction at all from anything that I'm about to do. But AJ Miller has had a much better life than me. He's had followers, he's had support. He's not in the same position as me, but I bet he has faced a ton of criticism and people calling him mad and stuff. So, you know, if you do come to me soon, maybe we should plan some sort of event where we set him up as being, you know, the real Jesus. Not Christ or the Son of God, but just the Jesus of Nazareth who died and has come back to life through reincarnation. If you want to promote reincarnation at the same time, I guess you can do that. But I do want to make him seem like he's like special. Not very special, but just special. Give him his time to shine, basically. Probably get the singers and celebrities that want to support him to say that they believe that he was the real Jesus, but also to say that he wasn't the Son of God. I don't trust the singers, I don't like the singers, but maybe if they did something like this, would I trust them more? Maybe? I don't know. I don't really know what to think. You know, for the last 10, 11 years, I've always wanted for me to go first, but now that my mental state is in the condition that it is, I don't think that's a good idea, because it's going to be very obvious that I don't trust or like anyone. I just want to kill myself, so I don't actually know what I want. But anyway, I'm just doing this video. Just let it be known that if I do die in the next few weeks, this is exactly what I want. I keep getting this heart pain today, and I wonder if that's how I die. I have a random heart attack soon, and then you can start all the points off that I've mentioned on my Facebook page. Just do that without me. You know, that's still a possibility, and I really don't care if that is the possibility. I mean, I'll just be glad that my suffering is finally over if that did happen. If that's about to happen, this will be the plan. Step 1, the rapture, which is where I die. Then I go into heaven to recover. I time travel to find out the answers to all the questions that I seek. This time when I go into heaven, I'll actually have a baby, e.g. people on earth who I can talk to. They'll ascend AJ Miller as being the real Jesus, because he is. You can interview people in a back room about what they think about the possibility of a blonde girl being the real Christ. In December, you can start up the theory that Christmas Day is actually about Eve's child, not about Jesus or Mary's child. In March, you can expose who the Son of God is. In June, you say that you're about to expose who the real Christ is. In July, you expose my face. On the 10th, you make it clear that Jesus is not Christ. July 15th onward, you start revealing who the angels are. In August, you expose that Anna was Eve, who she calls Dala. Then you start getting lots of interviews with people. You arrest the blonde girl, and then you use AI to get her to talk to the world, and you test people on whether or not they think I'm Christ or Jesus is Christ. Technically, all these things that I've listed in this list, I don't actually need to be alive on Earth for. You can just make out that I am alive on Earth, and really I'm not. You know, right now I'm at the point where I do not want to be here, so if I die soon, I really do not care.
It is the strategy of Satan to be anti-Christ, right? To be anti-Christ. John says there are many antichrists in the world. Many antichrists, says in his epistle. There always have been, there always will be, because that's a ploy of Satan to assault Christ, to go against Christ.
Yes, and what you are unaware of is that that is exactly what you are doing. You are antichrist because I am Christ, and you would reject me, you would deny me, you wouldn't believe me, you wouldn't help me, you wouldn't do anything to save me if I approached you and told you that I was Christ. This whole world is full of antichrists because everyone is worshipping Jesus, not me. And for 11 whole years I've known that I'm Christ and the real God, and I've had to sit back and watch videos like this because I'm constantly looking for the rapture dates. And you know what, I'm wondering if this rapture that I'm waiting for is actually just my death, because that is how I feel. Like the only thing that can save me now is death, and I have no reason to live because I have no reason to want to be here, because this whole world is against me.
The closer we get to the end of the age, the more the pseudo-Christs, the false Christs will appear, according to our Lord's discourse.
I don't know if you want to start off by helping rise AJ Miller and then start rising Martin. You know, I don't know if he wants to get involved or not, but that's just an idea. If you want to start helping other Jesuses too, you can, I guess, because being Jesus is actually just code for being an average person. I mean, that's what my interpretation of this Jesus character represents. I believe reincarnation happens to everyone, even fish or animals. So technically, even fish can be like a Jesus figure, a creature that dies and comes back to life again. That is a fish Jesus. You know, if the media want to start claiming that they're Jesus too, I guess they can do that too, because they're just an average person. That would actually be quite a funny media stunt. You first start off with AJ Miller, and then you start going up to other people who are also claiming to be Jesus, and then you could start like helping them by just giving them stories or put them in newspapers, and then just over the next sort of 8 months just see how many people can want to come forward and start claiming to be Jesus. I mean, it sounds kind of ridiculous, but you could actually take the piss out of it. I mean, there's millions of Mohammeds in the world, so why can't there be millions of Jesuses too? You know, you just need to change your name and there we go, you're a Jesus. You know, if you know Jesus just represents the average person, then technically anyone who claims to be Jesus is actually correct by biblical standards. That would actually be really funny, you know, offer to pay anyone £200 if they come forward and claim to be Jesus, and then you can do like an article about them and the claims as to why they think they're Jesus. I kind of like that idea. You know, it's kind of taking the piss out of it, but it's also helping promote a religion that's full of nonsense. But I don't know, it's funny. But the people who hate these people are actually the people that are going to get the last laugh. Why? Because when I come forward as being the true Christ, they're going to realize that actually Jesus is actually just the person who represents the average person but dies, but needs to die for the sake of the world. You know, the sacrifice of Jesus has not happened yet, because this is when the sacrifice of the average person dies. So yeah, anyone claiming to be Jesus and doesn't know that part might be in for a little bit of a shock when that part is actually exposed to them. But yeah, I don't actually want AJ Miller to die because I want him to do this. And same with Justin Bieber. If Justin Bieber wants to come forward and start saying that he's had visions of being nailed to a cross in his past life, you know, technically if he's had 10 lives in his past life, maybe in one of those lives he did die that way. So, you know, he doesn't even have to say that and be lying, because technically a lot of people have been crucified in their past lives. And since he is my Jesus representation chosen by my higher self, and therefore I feel like there is actually quite a high chance that he probably was crucified in one of his past lives. So if he wants to come forward and start saying that he has died by crucifixion in one of his past lives, you know, I think that's actually probably the truth. I think the main difference between AJ Miller and Justin Bieber is that I don't believe that AJ Miller has had any other past lives since then, whereas I think Justin Bieber has had quite a few more lives, hence why he's a bit more evolved and got a bit more of skills. He's developed more skills over the years. Just when I was saying that, I had a vision of Shakespeare's globe and an image of a guy who looks like an actor in that globe. So I feel like maybe Justin Bieber might have actually been an actor in Shakespeare's time, which could explain the fact that he has more, you know, talent and personality. I think AJ Miller's only had about 3 or 4 lives, whereas I'm pretty sure Justin Bieber's had about 10.
A few months back, we made a video highlighting AJ Miller, one of the insane people who claimed to be Jesus. At the time, we thought he was confined only to a tiny forest in Australia. We didn't know that Aussie Jesus is slowly but surely expanding his influence even here in America.
He claims he's Jesus Christ, back from the dead, to spread a message he calls the divine truth.
And remember that it has been prophesied in the Bible and other places that I was going to do this, that I was going to return.
My guess is that the average person's had 3 or 4 lives, so yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone on Earth has come back more than 2 or 3 times. So yeah, he has the truth, but he's just not telling it correctly, because technically Jesus just represents everyone. Some people though are living their first life, I know that. As a human, when I say that, as a human, you know, they might have had like 100 lives as an animal, but now they're living their first life as a human, you know. It's different, but on average I think it's about 3 or 4. But I think the maximum could be about 20. I think if they keep dying as a child, they'll end up having more lives because their gaps in between the breaks won't be as long. When it comes to his divine truth and what he's preaching, I don't really think he knows what he's teaching or talking about, but I feel like he knows in his spirit that the Spirit wants him to call himself Jesus and try and get some sort of following. I'm hugely pissed off with my life, and if I come forward right now, everyone's going to know it. So I need a break. I need to go on a wild trip. I need to learn how to be happy again. I need to learn how to trust people. So in this gap year that I have, maybe you should work with him instead, even if he just promotes lies as the truth, you know. It's kind of what he did in his first life, but yeah, that doesn't really make any difference, you know. The media is what is really controlling the stories, so yeah, the media can do what they want, I guess.
Can spirits have sex in the same way as we do here on Earth?
Yes, spirits can have sex in the same way we do here on Earth, with the exception, of course, that it's more of an energetic transfer of emotion.
Certainly, I had a lot of sex with you in the spirit world when I lived there.
Yeah.
So spirits do have sex there.
Yeah.
It's just that my feeling is a lot of the spirits who are involved in other people's sexual relationships on the earth.
And if someone was to ask me that question, I would say I haven't got a frickin' clue. I mean, I have no memory of being in the spirit realm. I have no clue what it's like being in there. I know when I'm on Earth, I feel like I can often turn into this big ball of light, and yeah, it's not about sex. It's just about, I don't know, it's like just bliss, perfect bliss, but I wouldn't call it sex, and I don't know if there's any other soul there. I mean, I feel like there was, because I had a fixation on Martin at the time. But yeah, it felt more like he was like a green baby light or something. So I that's my only memory of something that might be spiritual. But yeah, if someone was asked me this question, I would just say, you know, we have no clue what's in the spiritual realm. And the reason why we're not supposed to have a clue is because we're not supposed to want to get into the spiritual realm. If he is, though, promoting that you can have sex in the spirit realm, well, I feel like he's actually encouraging people to die, because he's talking about the spiritual realm as if he knows what the spiritual realm is like, and I feel like maybe that will help encourage people to want to get into it, whereas I wouldn't be encouraging people to get into it, because if I wanted people to live, I would be wanting them to stay on Earth. Because I'm now going to be promoting my portal idea, I'm going to stick to the truth. I'm just going to say I don't know. But if I'm God and I don't know the truth, I would be confused as to how AJ would know more than me about the spiritual realm. So my guess is that he doesn't actually have any memory of the spiritual realm, but he's just saying things to people to get them to be drawn in, which is fine. I want them to be drawn in, so yeah, he can say what he wants. I also don't believe that he's had memories of being Jesus ever since he was 2. You know, some of my earliest memories was around 6, maybe 4, but they're very, very vague, you know, and even the memories that I have at 6, you know, it's so few. My real memory really kicked in around 12, you know. I've got a bad memory, but I don't believe that people really do remember things from the age of 2. I think it's unlikely.
AJ is currently on a worldwide tour. We've travelled to the American state of Texas to find him. It's 9 months and half a world away since a Current Affairs Nick Coe tracked him down for a first exclusive interview.
So what you're leading is not a cult?
People will view it as such, probably.
He lives on a country retreat near Kingaroy in Queensland, and his influence is small but growing. So much so, dozens of followers are buying up nearby land just to get closer to him.
When you feel certain things for a person, you obviously generally want to be close to them, and a lot of people feel that they'd like to be closer to myself and Mary.
Mary is Mary Suzanne Luck, who also claims strong biblical links to the past.
Mary was Mary Magdalene in the 1st century.
Who's now your girlfriend?
Yes,
partner?
My girlfriend, partner. I actually met her in her parents' lounge room.
As a layperson, I'm trying to understand what the odds are you, as someone who claims to be Jesus Christ, could meet Mary Magdalene in her parents' lounge room 2,000 years after you died. Can you understand how I might just struggle with that a bit?
No, I don't understand how you could struggle to believe that, because technically I do think that love has a power to unite people in their next life. You know, if you really have a strong passion for someone, I feel like when you die and come back to life, you will be seeking that same person.
When you understand the full divine truth about the soul and its power and desire and its power, and also the fact that we've lived one life.
Whoever made this video has done a really shitty job, because he keeps cutting off people and not letting them finish. Anyway, I've heard the interviewer go on to say how you had a few other girlfriends and you thought they were married too. I feel like that's a common thing. Because he thought he was Jesus, he was always looking for his Mary. And okay, he might have not got it first time round. I feel like his soul knew that he would one day find the right Mary, and I think that woman that he's with now is the right Mary. But yeah, I don't think that she's anything like special. I just think that they have managed to unite, and that was actually the main reason why in 2013, I think it was, did I start believing that this was the real Jesus. Why? Because I believe too in the power of the soul and your belief and the power of love as well. If you love someone, I feel like you can reunite and come back together, and I feel like the fact that he believes that he's done that and none of the other Jesuses did believe that, you know, I felt like this made his claim far more plausible and far more likely. Muslims believe that Jesus is going to come back. Christians believe that Jesus is going to come back. You know, I felt like my higher self has done that and set this up because the real Jesus of Nazareth is coming back, and I know that my higher self would be looking for a Jesus who would come back and also believe that their partner has come back. Why? Because the importance of equality between the sexes is very important. So for me, a Jesus that believes that they've been reincarnated but their partner hasn't been reincarnated, you know, this isn't something that I would really promote. But this guy does believe that his partner has been reincarnated, hence why I'd like to promote him too, as I believe he's the type of Jesus that my higher self would choose. He's chosen to die and rise again. How special. Okay, that's not so special. Oh well. But yeah, I don't actually want him to die. I have nothing against this guy.
Alan John Miller's ambitions stretch far beyond just the so-called Queensland Bible Belt. He's taking his message on the road with a series of public seminars in community halls, just like this one behind me on the New South Wales-Victorian border. His followers believe he's the original Son of God, Jesus Christ himself. Even his own literature promotes himself as someone who's returned to earth after 2,000 years to teach us all what he calls the divine truth.
You see a big issue now worldwide is this issue of whether gay people should be able to marry, right? Well, from God's perspective, everyone should be able to marry, right? If the right is given to one person, from God's perspective, it should be given to all people. So if heterosexual people are allowed to marry, then homosexual people should be allowed to marry, from God's perspective. Whenever somebody talks about a gay couple marrying, a normal Christian will think, how terrible, it's an abomination, and it's terrible, and they have all this judgment. But they don't realise that they're doing exactly what the Bible says not to do, which is to judge another person.
It would have been fantastic if all these confused men claiming to be Jesus could have sat in one room and debated who was telling the truth.
I would actually like to see that happen, you know, get them all in the Big Brother house and then kind of debate over who's telling the truth. I don't know, I don't think that's actually going to happen because they probably wouldn't want to do that, but I don't know, if you want to set up a meeting where you get them together or just give them, like, I don't know, small amounts of money to do a story or whatever. I reckon these people are full of ego. They'll be very suspicious if you try to help them, but if you give them money at the start, they'll probably be inclined to believe you straight away, but really you just want to kind of like use them. I don't really know. I don't like people who claim to be Christ because I'm Christ and they're trying to take my limelight. But right now I don't actually want the limelight, so if you want to give them the limelight, just in a similar way to how you've used singers and given them the limelight when really they're just insulting me, you know, you can do. These people are claiming to be Christ, they're claiming to be me. They're not me, they're nothing like me, they're not bringing the truth. I'm okay with AJ Miller because he promotes his wife too, but the others mean nothing to me. The thing though that I don't understand is how come I'm afraid of telling the world that I'm God and Christ because I feel like people are going to kill me, and yet these people don't seem to fear that as being a possibility. How come I can't expose the truth because I know people would hate me, and yet if they expose the truth, nothing bad seems to happen to them? You know, they're crazy is obviously the answer. But you know what, if people want to start hating an Antichrist figure, you know, why don't you raise up loads of Antichrist figures and then they won't know who to hate? I think it would be funny if during like the UN meetings or something you start inviting some of these people into the UN meeting and start saying, hey, what does Jesus think? Does Jesus want to give a speech? Butter them up with glory whilst also knowing that you're actually insulting them.
It has always been Satan's Antichrist strategy to affirm the wrong Christ, the wrong Jesus, and thus to subtly deceive people. It is the spirit of Antichrist then to give honor to a false Jesus. And that is deadly. It has found its way, amazingly, into evangelicalism. You know, I'm always shocked by what people believe who call themselves Christians. But I continue to realize that they are under the sway of the great deceiver, Satan himself, and the spirit of Antichrist that he projects into the world when they are satisfied to believe in a false Jesus.
A.J. Miller is an agent of Satan. If you know anything about Satan, he is a liar, and so are his earthly agents.
Yesterday, when we called, they claimed there was no such person by the name of A.J. Miller even staying there. And they say there is no seminar taking place. So we go in with a local Christian who read about the seminar on the internet.
Point you to the seminar. Oh, around the corner to the right.
The room is small, but it's full.
AJ, nice to meet you.
AJ is front and centre. To his right is his girlfriend Mary. Not any Mary, but the Mary Magdalene who witnessed the crucifixion. In this century, she has the handicam duties.
We usually, before we give a talk, we talk to our spirit friends about what they feel are the issues you're facing.
AJ believes after death he and Mary were in the spirit world, a world he remains in contact with. It's a message the faithful have travelled from all over the US to here.
Florida and California, Philadelphia, New Mexico, Washington.
I don't really care what he preaches. Christians seek death, so if they're travelling to see him to speak about the spirit realm, I feel like they're doing this only because they want to die and they just want some confirmation that there is life after death. And if he's going to give them that confirmation, then great. But yeah, really you should want to be alive. But I don't really want people to be alive because there's way too many of you and I cannot cope with you destroying my soul in the way that I feel you are.
Texas.
The internet and social media age has enabled dangerous preachers like A.J. Miller to thrive. People came from all over the U.S., from California, Philadelphia, New Mexico, Washington, New York to South Carolina to hear A.J. spread his false gospel. You can imagine the negative impact his false doctrines are having on people.
In the age of the internet, his message is instant, and thanks to YouTube, unedited.
I believe he's the real Jesus and he inspired the Bible or the writers of the Bible to write the New Testament, so I feel like he must have some sort of power or influence around people. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are preaching very similar things to what he's preaching. I like though how this video is made to try and insult him, but really they are actually just insulting the real guy that inspired the Bible.
His followers have financed his current world trip from Australia to Greece, England, Dallas, Texas, and back to the UK.
One possibility is that I think I'm Jesus and I'm a nutcase. The next possibility is I am Jesus. And that's the choice that you're going to have to make at some time.
I'd have to add in a third option, that you are Jesus, but that you actually preach a bunch of shit. I'm going with that vote.
I'm curious about autism. So if parents have emotional damage and they clear that damage, does the child then become unautistic?
Yes. What happens for an autistic child is that there is so much emotions coming to the child that it can't determine the difference between the emotions coming to it and its own emotion. So a child who's autistic is a very sensitive child who's been incarnate into an environment and it's just feeling a barrage of emotions from its environment. And once you, as parents, release those emotions, the child will no longer be autistic.
Yeah, my sister's autistic and I would say that's anything but the truth in her case. I know there's lots of different types of autism. My friend who looked like The Weeknd was also autistic, although that was a very different type of autism. Autism is a social disorder, so it's got nothing to do with energy or hyperenergy. My sister lacks emotion, is very bland, doesn't have much character or intelligence, and therefore I would say that her autisticness is actually inflicted by her lack of character and lack of intelligence. She also has a lack of emotion. And the other guy, again, I wouldn't actually think it was emotion. I wouldn't say that he was very emotional. I thought he's a nice guy and he's smart and able to do things, but I feel like he just wanted to say the right things all the time, hence wanted to not speak too much in case he said the wrong things. But yeah, what you just said is a load of shit, because I'm pretty sure that being autistic has very little to do with energy. I think though you are referring to kids that have like a type of learning disorder, but I think that's a different disorder. I feel like it's a sort of hyperactiveness. I can't remember the name of it, but I did have a friend who had a brother that had that disorder, so I think I know what you're referring to, but yeah, that's not autism. You're getting confused between hyperactiveness and autism. They're two different things, but often can come together.
What is certain is this self-proclaimed Messiah from Queensland is taking his message to the world.
For me, it was about the personal nature of a relationship with God.
Angela and Robert Griffith moved here 2 years ago to be closer to their spiritual leaders.
But nobody asked us to. We didn't consult AJ.
AJ Miller has said that he's a reincarnation of Jesus. Are you convinced?
I have no reason to believe that he's not.
Raj Miles and Susanna Stallard also believe beyond doubt that AJ and Mary are Jesus and Mary Magdalene.
It's definitely not a religion in the way that you would describe the contemporary churches. In fact, in many ways, it's the antithesis of religion, because he definitely doesn't want to follow.
Why do we even bother to make this video? Jesus forewarned in Matthew 24 that shortly before his second coming, many false prophets and Christs would arise and deceive many people. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Matthew 24, verses 4 to 5. The key word here is deceive, and A.J. Miller is doing just that. But if someone becomes aware of his dangerous, deceptive teachings through this video, perhaps they might not fall into his traps. We can see all the warning signs in this man, one of which is isolation, but many people don't.
Tonight, we'll take you inside the Messiah's isolated Queensland compound.
The idea that the group is coming together in a community and that Miller is developing a compound, in my opinion, is ominous, because only the most extreme cults isolate themselves in a compound. This is when groups become the most extreme, because the leader controls everything.
That is just what I need. A nice big house, group of supportive people, foundation, few swimming pools, jacuzzi, spa, and then I could work at my fullest to try and destroy Jesus. Although technically I'm going to let Jesus destroy me because he thinks that he's God and not me, or he thinks that he has the truth and not me. So I'm going to allow him to do that, and then afterwards, when he realizes that he's not God, he doesn't have God on his side, and that I am the real God, he's going to realize that everything he's preached about God is actually just lies. But anyway, I told my granny the other day how much I want revenge on the people who took Leah away from me. And she was just like, well, that's not my God. And I was just like, well, I didn't say this, but I really wanted to say this. I don't give a shit what your God is like or what you think God is like. That's not the truth. At the end of the day, God is God. God will be whoever she wants to be. And if that's me, then I will get revenge on what I want to get revenge on. I didn't say that, though. Instead, I just said, cursed is those who cursed Israel, which is what your Bible says. She didn't respond to that.
It's not that they attack Christ. It's not that they deny Christ. They create a false Christ. So watch yourselves. Watch yourselves. Your reward, your eternal reward is at stake. Verse 8. Then verse 9. Anyone who goes too far, doesn't abide in the true teaching concerning Christ, doesn't have God. If your Christology is aberrant, you're not a messenger from God. You don't have God. You're not a believer. You're not saved. Verse 9, the one who abides in his teaching, he has both the Father and the Son. When somebody has an accurate Christology, they have both the Father and the Son. When somebody has an aberrant Christology, they have neither the Father nor the Son.
A huge amount of the things in the Bible are actually so vague and so open to interpretation. This is just saying that the one is the one. That's all it's saying. If you are not worshipping the one, then you do not have the truth. I am the one. I have the truth because that's my Son, and the Father is, I guess, just the leaders that are helping me. Okay, I don't really want to say the word helping me because I wouldn't really describe it as helping me. I would describe it as ignoring me and pissing me off. But anyway, if you're seeking the Father, well, hopefully he can hurt you. I'm hoping he'll treat you in the same way that he treated me, which is like shit. That is Satan, yes. The Father is Satan.
If somebody comes to you, verse 10, and doesn't bring the true teaching concerning Christ, don't let him into your house. Don't give him a greeting, or you'll be a participant in his evil deeds. Stop him cold in his tracks. Don't expose yourself to a deceptive, lying Christology.